Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Stormies. This is the 2023 edition, which rewards all the hard work and effort you photographers put in to chasing in 2022. So these are the best images and portfolios from 2022. Right now, we're releasing our selections, and these are kind of the first pass, our favorite top 15, top 20, top 30 images in each of the categories. So the way we like to announce our selections is with a blog post and then a corresponding critique video where we're going to go through each of the images and kind of critique them, talk about what we love, talk about things you can work on. And all of these critiques, truly from the bottom of our hearts, are with the intention of trying to raise the game of storm photography everywhere, across the world. The three judges here, me, Dennis, and Linda, we are highly critical of our own work, and we've been doing this for quite a while now, and some of you have been doing it for a long time. Some of you have just started. And so all this feedback and all the ideas and thoughts we have are from years of experience and for trying to help everyone get better. I'm always trying to get better. Linda and Dennis, we're always trying to get better, trying to do better when we're chasing, trying to find better compositions, trying to learn how to maybe edit a little better. And it's things that we're hoping to pass on that will help elevate the game. So everything that we say here is meant to be helpful, encouraging, and to prepare you for this current season, 2023, which is already, kicking off in Australia from the photos I've seen, and spring is right around the corner. There's even been storms in Arizona already. So this is to prep you for that and to get you excited for this upcoming season of chasing and storm photography. So without further ado, here are our selections. Okay, we are now doing our top 30 selections for photo of the year. Some great images submitted, some crazy stuff. Some of them duplicates from a couple of the other entries into like lightning photo of the year and tornado photo of the year. So we're going to just kick it off with this one, which was taken, I believe that's Oregon. Anyway, I just freaking really love this image. It's not it's not the crazy tornado, big lightning strike image. It's a rainbow. It's peaceful, but the composition is astounding. The mammatus is beautiful. The light's beautiful. It's just a great photo.
It really is. It just comes down to the editing, I think.
Yep.
Especially if you look at the actual mammatus itself, you get these weird bands of color and stuff. I don't know. I think probably people will see that themselves when they're editing it, but they don't notice it standing out. So I would encourage people to kind of look for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You start to see some of this line noise from digital sensor in there.
That part's kind of tough.
Maybe the sky was a bit darker than it's shown here.
Yeah.
But overall, the image is tack sharp. Can zoom in forever. I've been to that spot there.
Me too. I've been right there.
The conditions weren't like this when I was there. So, but it's
nope.
It's really incredible.
All right, Dennis, what do you think of this one?
I think of it April. That was April last year.
Yeah,
it was
April 22nd.
Very early for South Dakota. So yeah.
Right.
I was sitting in Germany and I saw pictures of this storm and thought, just wait a moment. It's a crazy, great barber pole updraft there, and one of my favorites landscapes in the plains. So yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. So I really like it. Maybe I wish there would be a bit more white angel.
Yeah,
just a bit. The storm is a bit more to the
size of the image.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry for my English. I'm out of training for almost a year now, so it's time to come back. Yeah. But overall, from the color wise, I would say it's there. I like it this way, like it is.
Yep.
The blue tones of the sky are very natural, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's great.
just a bit more frame, bit more space
Yeah.
for the storm on the sides would be great.
Yep. Agreed. This image is hauntingly like beautiful. I just this building, this old house, just standing out white and framed where it is with the balance of the storm. It's one of my favorites of the year. I think if anything, if I was going to nitpick and I was going to post this, I would have gotten rid of all these little white posts because I feel like they just add nothing but distraction, but they don't bother me that much. But I think if you got rid of those, it puts the focus even more on the house. But it's just, it's one of my favorites. I just love all the light on that house. It's perfect.
Yeah, this is an incredible image. I super, super love this image for many reasons. Also, this person might have looked at our contest last year and said, hey, you know what? There's a little house out there. You remember that Brett Wright's photo, the little house out there with the storm. And they were like, you know, I'm going to do something like that. That gets those judges really going. And
that's right.
Right. So
they got Linda going.
It got me going. And I love that the side of the house is so white and all. But I agree that I would probably get rid of these little white sticks, but other than that, I don't think I can really improve on it. It's not overly edited in a crazy way. There might be a little bit of color splotchiness when I zoom into it on my monitor, but you know, I'm a kind of a pixel peeper in that sense, and that can be reduced a little bit, but I can't complain about this shot.
All right, Dennis, what do you think of this one?
Maybe first look, there are some, it's a great storm and a great lightning bolt there, but immediately there are some elements in there which distract my view a bit. It's a bit noisy. Yeah, maybe it's a bit more too much contrast around the lightning or so, I think. But the first view is on the left side, the darker area in the field, just a pond or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, in my opinion, it's a bit difficult for my view.
Yeah,
my eyes want to go to this darker part of the foreground and want to know what it is and distract me from the lightning bolt a bit. But the storm itself, it's a very bad one, I think. It's serious.
It's kind of the photo's a little soft on the focus, but it's kind of a unique like photo of a storm and where the lightning comes out, where it's just nothing but like, I don't know, like smoothness over there. It's just a unique spot for it to occur. So that part kind of stood out to me.
It's also pleasantly devoid of like fencing, or human garbage.
Yeah, and I don't mind the houses out
kind
there.
Of a quietness to the image,
yes,
which I like, and it's almost like the lightning is coming out of the edge of that storm to the left, and it's kind of pulling it over to that side of the frame with it. And so compositionally, I kind of like that. I agree with Dennis that little dark patch can be a little bit annoying, but I think overall this is quite a nice image in comparison to some other things, because I think a lot of times people are out storm chasing and that's their primary thing they do, and then they grab a camera to shoot these incredible things that they're seeing, and in the excitement of it, you're not looking around the frame to see that there's a fence there. And I know, like, I go out there and I'm like, oh, there was a fence in this shot. I never even saw it, because you're so amazed or overwhelmed by what's going on. Or maybe it's like you only have 10 seconds and you can't be sitting there being like going through your checklist. And so I appreciate here that this person was able to take a little bit of extra care.
And every chaser in the plains knows how difficult it is to get a good foreground.
It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Here's a nice like attempt at a good foreground with trying to put that kind of off center of the storm itself out there. It's a nice photo. I think the horizon's just a little bit crooked and it feels a little harshly edited, but it's a beautiful. I mean, it's like I like the attempts at composition and the storm itself being kind of off balance from those silos, which is kind of nice. Here's the next photo, which is one we talked about already. So this one made photo of the year selections. So we talked about that one already. So kudos to that person. We'll move on to this one, which is a dust storm in Kansas, southwest Kansas this year. I like the image. I might let you guys talk about it since I was standing right next to the person who was also driving with me. So I feel like I'll
I
let you
think
guys
it's a
talk about it.
really incredible frame. I was quite jealous of the images that came from this storm that I saw. I would say to this person that I would work a little bit on the color here. Things are saturated to a weird degree in the top in relation to the bottom of the image, but also overall the image has a bit of grayness kind of to its bit, flat. And so I would say maybe adjusting the white balance could really help, or some a little bit on the blue magenta side, I would say. But the shot itself is incredible. Come on,
Yeah,
I love that.
it's almost like you don't see it in the first hand what it is because it's almost minimalistic. It's
Yeah,
just different
Yes.
layers. You have the field, the dust, the gust front, and then the almost asperatus clouds overhead and stuff going on. So it could be just a minimalistic frame. So
how long were you
the
guys
top,
there at that spot? Was it pretty slow moving, or
25 minutes maybe.
okay?
I'd have
well,
to
that's
remember.
So you had some time. Okay.
It was moving pretty fast, but yeah, we did have some time. I mean, I had time to change into my I love big boobs t-shirt and do a selfie in front of it, so there was enough time for that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
very embarrassing, but I did it. Here's a great photo of the Brownsfield something I don't know where it was, but it was out in the Morton Day. So nice, pretty tack sharp out there in the foreground photo. Beautiful storm. It just seems a little grainy, and I think for me, if the foreground is lit up a lot, either in post or naturally, I think I'd probably get rid of this little can here on the right or on the left. But overall, just a beautiful storm. All right, I'm gonna go to this one. Wait, we talked about this one already, so I don't think we need to talk about that one. Congrats, we talked about this one. People obviously entered photos into multiple categories this year. This one is just beautiful to me. It might just be the export that makes it the way it is. When I'm zoomed in, it feels a little like out of focus. I think it's because of the size of it only being 2,000 wide. I love this photo, and I will say that I was on this storm, and with my tour group, we saw these horses, and we saw photographers on the side of the road taking the pictures of the horses. And I think someone wanted to stop, and I'm like, no, we're not going to steal their composition. We'll just keep driving. And then I got to see the actual photo, and it's just, it was cool to see it. So, but the other horses, the horse standing there, the horses behind the behind horse doesn't necessarily do it for me, but the horse running in the foreground in the direction the storm is going is kind of magnificent to me. So I really like that.
Agreed. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it's probably like a handheld shot. So that's kind of tough. 1/100th of a second, really, really windy. If anything, I think that there's something about the horizon that's a little bowed, and I don't remember if that's the way it was or not, but it might be something to need to fix later. But
also the vignetting is a bit too much in my opinion. But overall, the scenery is lovely, and the horse is perfectly lined up to the storm. Yeah,
it's wonderful. Here's another image we had talked about. Here's I think the only photo of sprites that was submitted this year. I know that
there was another one.
Oh, was there another one? Okay.
Yeah.
This feels, and I think we talked about it, maybe a little bit saturated because the blues are very blue and all that. But I just like the overall, I don't know, the tone and the essence. I don't mind it being a little saturated. Sometimes, I'm sure when you shoot these, that sometimes they're harder to make out, and so you add just like anything, you add contrast, you add some stuff to make your photo pop a little bit. But these are pretty spectacular sprites, and I think it's one of the best ones that we had entered, which was 2, I think. So, but I really, really like this one.
The details in the sprites are crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I sense the
Bucket.
jealousy. Yeah.
Yeah. Bucket list shot.
My problem is I'm usually too tired and I got tour guests and I need to get to the hotel and I want to stay up till 4 a.m. shooting sprites. So I tend to be like, let's go get food and go to sleep. So, but I need to try. This one we talked about. Linda, I know you really like this one. So I'll let you say some stuff about it.
I do quite like it. I'm trying to find it here real quick while we talk about it. But what I really like about it, of course, is the fact it's a double rainbow, but it also has a lot of peace in the image. It's nicely balanced. You know, it's not like it's cropped into the top of the second rainbow. And one thing that I know maybe you weren't as much of a fan of, Mike, but that I kind of liked is there's this kind of green band of grass, and then there's this yellow behind it that goes into the rest of the field. And I actually think that it kind of lends to this image. I think if it was only yellow, it wouldn't impress me as much. It kind of, to me, brings some balance. And because a rainbow also has, like, you know, yellow and green, and now the grass is kind of reflected in that, I think for me, that really kind of makes the image. And that's what I really like about this image.
Yeah, I think you actually converted me to liking the green, because once if I kind of look at it further away and like the thumbnail part of it, you know, I really do like that band of green. I think I tend to be overly like critical about wanting to be symmetrical with things, you know, and that's just my own style. So for me, sometimes having something at an angle like that feels off. But when I just look at it, the color it adds to the image is really, really pleasing, and I like it. So I think you converted me. I'm gonna go to this one. This one is just crazy. I know that we might have talked about the fact that it was maybe taken from like a car, and some of the foreground stuff looks a little like, I don't know if it's splotchy from noise reduction or whatever, but the gram, as you said, but not just that, but the composition of, you know, this building and that storm right there. You know, this is one of those moments where you probably slammed on your brakes and jumped out and took this picture because it was just there, and you got to keep driving afterwards, you know.
Yeah, there's a bit of artifacting and smearing going on in different parts of the storm behind it, but if I saw a sky like that, I would lose my shit, bro. but I would say, like, if you're gonna edit anything out or whatever, I would agree, maybe if it was shot from near a car, to be mindful about where the edge of that grass line kind of is. And I don't know if something could be done by removing this power line situation on the left, because I'm like, oh, it's touching the storm there where I don't want it to. But but very cool stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate if people bring elements from the planes into the storm pictures. Yeah. So it shows the land where it happens. So, and that's very, very good. But as we said, it's so hard to get the elements in the right place at the right time.
No, very, very difficult. We'll move on to this one. Arizona. I might let you guys talk about it since I was there, and of course I had 3 cameras trained on it and did not get that lightning bolt. So it's very, very impressive that I failed in that regard. But I'll let you guys talk about it.
I'm just sad because I had just gotten on a plane to go to Germany, and then I land over there and have to look at this disaster. So I was very excited I didn't get this. I really love this storm. This was quite unique, and this shot is really great. I know that if I zoom a bit around the lightning and stuff, there are some weird artifacting from color and things like that. I remember seeing that. But what an incredible shot! And for Arizona, this was quite a unique situation.
Yeah, I mean, there was like 40 to 45 knots of shear right over this area of central Arizona, and it lended to like this spectacularness. So it feels maybe a little pink, a little saturated, but it's just a stupendous scene. And I think that bolt is probably some of that stuff you talked about is just because the freaking microbursts and the lightning kind of punching some of that rain was a little tough. So, all right, we talked about this one already. Spectacular. This one is from Arizona, I believe, and just if you're from here, we get good storms and good stuff and good skies, but this is a pretty particularly nasty looking storm. and a lot of little spin ups and gustinados, possibly. I think there was, reports that maybe this was like a brief land spot. I mean, you can see the cloud curling here, and this is kind of going up. I'm not really sure about that, but just, it's one of those gnarly storm scenes.
Yeah, and it's definitely a tough situation. I've shot similar storms to this quite often, and they often have very bright regions. You can kind of see it on the right. And so some of it will get lost to being blown out while other things are better exposed. And so this is really also to encourage, again, people taking note of that. And if you have something that's blown out that you weren't able to capture, that's okay. Then you just kind of lean into it. Don't try to make it gray or so, just to try to bring it back. Maybe go the other direction with it and just make sure that it rolls off nicely. The clouds have a little bit of this kind of, I say this sometimes, I don't know if it has any meaning, but it kind of has this dirty feel to it. Now, I know there's dirt in the sky. That's not what I mean. It has like this brownish kind of grau look to it that sometimes can come from over editing, because you're really excited about the structure and you would like to share how incredible that looked to your eyes when you were standing there. But yeah, and of course, one of the things about chasing in Arizona that can be tricky is that, especially if you go down south, then it's like you against all the bushes. Like just the fact that you can get something that's relatively higher than the bushes without having bushes up to your eyeballs in a frame is quite nice. So I find that they found a nice spot to take a picture from that doesn't have too much junk in the foreground.
Yeah, agreed. Anytime I see a really good dust storm and I wasn't there, it really bothers me. So of course I'm going to be upset about it. But this is just spectacular. I think when we discussed earlier, it looks like it was taken from a moving car because a really close foreground is kind of blurry and moving. But what's really impressive is that, the windmills themselves are pretty sharp. Even there's like birds flying that are pretty sharp. This windmill's pretty sharp, and this is just a spectacular scene. So it's one of those, there are some, maybe a little bit of editing stuff with, around the windmill. You can kind of see that black halo from doing like the contrasty kind of, maybe clarity kind of editing. But comparing the technical aspect of, there's some movement and there's some of these issues with what a spectacular scene to be able to get this. I mean, I can imagine if you're in a moving car, you're just trying to stay ahead of it and you don't really have a lot of time to stop. So sometimes you just got to point your camera out the window and take a picture. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, but that was the best guess to get this composition, because you get this feeling it's almost here, the dust storm. You have to run now. So and I love the composition very much. Yeah.
All right, I'll go to this one. I know Linda really, really liked this one, so I'm going to let you talk.
I do really like it. I don't even know where to start. So first of all, like it's a really nice elevation, and I don't see, storms like this from an elevated position like this over water very often.
Yeah.
And I like that the storm is over water, and then you have the harbor and the city parts on the left, almost creating a barrier between the two, like a battle between the storm and the city that's ahead of it. I think one thing that I would maybe look at if I was this photographer would be to work on the edit a bit. The image overall is a bit flat. The white balance could be a little bit warmer, in my opinion. I played around with this a little bit on my own computer. Maybe you could crop in from the bottom a little bit. This fencing is there. That might not be adding to the story. I know you're going to be competing with the roof of the house that's on the right there, but I would work on that. But the quality of this image, from a technical perspective, looks to be very well done. The composition is excellent, and I like the story that it tells. I would just work a bit on the overall contrast and editing of the image.
Yeah, I would. I think I love everything that you said, and that's one of my favorites when I first saw it. I love this 3D aspect of being able to see where the rain falls in the ocean. But I definitely would love to see maybe just the different crop, a little more contrast. I see like a dust spot up here, so we talked about all those before. Paying attention to that stuff, but. Beautiful image and a great location for it. Here's another nicely done elevated shot, smooth channel bolt, crazy looking storm structure, and being able to see everything that's out there just adds so much. I mean, you see windmills and their little red lights on them all the way into the distance where the rain starts. Not sure if they were on a mountain here. It says it was with a Sony, I think an A7 III or something like that. So I wasn't sure if it was a drone or what, but I really, really like this shot.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. Kind of like the last shot. I feel like those two shots really initially got me super excited. There is probably some local editing that might have gone a little bit too far. Maybe they did like a radial or linear gradient in the sky to kind of bring that structure out more.
Yeah.
It leaves a little bit of artifacting and a little bit additional noise, maybe a little too much color up there. But this shot is incredible. And I think that this little storage yard or whatever it is that's kind of there in the foreground with that little bit of yellow light on it, and the roads kind of coming in and out of that, really lend itself to showing kind of just the scale of this storm and just the scale of the scene. And that's the thing that I'm most drawn to in this image.
Yeah.
Everything is so big. Like, I think sometimes we get so excited about the storm and we can take incredible images, but it doesn't always show just how massive the storm really is. And I think this person really was able to show that by composing it in this way.
Yeah. Dennis, what do you think of this one?
My favorite time of the day, I would say. Yeah, I love when the sun is setting, and it's getting the just pinkish and orange colors in the sky, and so yeah, I like this. But overall here, the saturation is maybe a bit too much on the orange clouds, so I wish it would be a bit less on this one. But overall, the perspective and the composition on this one I like it very much. Maybe you could get rid of the what is it? I don't know. In the bottom right, is it
the road? It's a dirt road, I think.
It's a dirt road. Yeah, but you cannot. The dirt road don't do anything to the shot. Maybe.
Yeah,
it distracts only my eyes. It's my personal opinion. But what I like a lot in this one is how this last bit of sunlight touches the peaks of the mountains.
Yeah,
this one is great. Yeah, but unfortunately, the saturation, as I said, is a bit too heavy on the orange and a bit too bright.
Yeah.
So, but the scene overall, it's
amazing.
very amazing. Yeah, there's so much going on here.
Moving on to another spectacular scene, but totally different color palette than the last shot. I really I think I'm partial to big dust storms, and of course, this is a snow squall, haboob, dust storm, gust front thing that is just, I never imagine I'll ever see anything like that in person. So this is one of those ones that I think is a moment that's, whoever captured this, set up perfectly in the middle of the road and did their best with the composition, with something like incredible coming at them. And I appreciate that effort. I know that when we talked about this earlier, there's maybe an idea that we could have done maybe a 16:9 crop, because there's a lot of just white space at the top that's not needed. But I don't know. That part doesn't bother me as much. I just love I just love what I'm seeing, because I don't see photos like this of something like this hardly ever, if I ever have. And then this person was able to kind of get it in a great composition, which is, tough when sometimes when you're seeing something, that no one really sees very much. Dennis, you were on this storm, I think, right?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, sorry.
No, didn't.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This one was earlier.
Yeah. On this one, I like how the intra-cloud lightning is illuminating the cloud and just reveals the structure.
Yeah.
This one is absolutely great. I don't think maybe lightning bolts in front of the storm or on the side or so would work as well. But in this case, I like that it's just illuminating from
within.
From within, I think. Yeah, maybe some color issues here and there a bit for my taste, and the very bright city lights on the right side, the three, is a bit distracting my eyes. The ones in the middle are not that. I don't think they are not such an issue for me.
Yeah.
But overall, a very, very great scene, and I can imagine how it felt when you're standing there. So yeah.
All right, we'll move on to this one. This is one of my favorites that was submitted. Yeah, Linda, what do you think of this one? Because I just
Wow, just like this is just an incredible shot. The composition, everything I like about it. I like the fact that some of it's kind of cut off. It leaves me filling in a story of my own. But you can see this kind of, I don't know, this is a meso or whatever it is here on the left there, and it's so great. The image has a lot of artifacts and weird things going on around it, especially in the bottom part. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but the sky that I care about the most looks flippin' incredible. I really, really love this shot from a composition perspective. It's peaceful, but also very violent at the same time.
Yeah, I feel on closer examination, some of the foreground feels a little either, it was out of focus and was sharpened later. But it's almost unfortunate because the composition in the supercell is like one of the best kind of supercell with the foreground that I've seen in a long time. I mean, I don't even know if maybe they got rid of some of the windmills that were off, that would make this off balance, or maybe they just perfectly had this cluster of windmills that frame this thing. But I love the framing of this and that storm.
It's almost like a cake, but switched over, and the windmills are the candles.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, no, I really love it. Okay, here's another one that I know is probably it's a little tough with I think if I were maybe shooting this, I would maybe try to stand in the road, but if I was going to do it, but I like the two windmills kind of offsetting the either side of the image, and the lightning bolt in the distance, and the color of the clouds and stuff. I don't think it's too overdone with the editing, and there's a little motion in the windmill, which I don't know if it adds a little bit of like motion to this thing, but I just kind of like the way it was kind of balanced out. I bet the person probably wished they had the bolt come right down the middle, but you got to take what you get.
Yeah, I really like this shot. I think compositionally it's really nice. I don't mind where this person is standing. Actually, I think if you're standing down the middle of the road, that green stripe next to it might be a bit heavy. And I think if you're standing in the middle of the road, you might not got that bolt on right in the frame.
Yeah. You might not.
But maybe there was another bolt that would have been, that you could have captured. I feel like the foreground's a bit cyan. I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of, I don't know, a gradient there was applied or something like that. But this is a really terrific image. Kudos.
Yep. All right, we'll go to this one. I'll let you guys talk about this one since I was there. So with the person.
I was on the storm too. Yeah, maybe just a few 100 yards away.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I think this is a banger shot. Even though it's got the quintessential, please don't put a railroad track down the center. I almost expect there to be a high school senior on those train tracks. You know what I'm talking about. But,
yes, I do.
But this is a really good shot compositionally. And even though you have this kind of road on the right, which doesn't lend to the symmetry, you have this kind of fence on the left that can kind of keep your eye down there. Yeah. I like the glow of the light on the top of this railroad tracks.
Yeah.
And it's really a great shot. I think in terms of editing in the sky, there might be a little bit either like a over contrasting or something maybe that's going on. It's okay if you don't need to be able to see every filament, I think, of what's happening in the sky, and so it might get this kind of bit of crazy look to it, but overall I think this is quite a nice image.
Yeah, exactly. I think if anything, I agree with what you said with the editing. I think for me, I would want to see just maybe a smidge more like vibrance or contrast to just add a little bit. It feels just a smidge flat.
Yeah, I think there might have been like a shadows plus 100
Yeah.
situation somewhere.
Yeah, it might be. It might have been. So, but the composition, it's one of those ones where you work really hard to find something and go make it happen when you're on a road. And I think we talked about this during the earlier when we were just going through these, that this was a pain in the butt road. There was nowhere else to go except this road, and there weren't a lot of offshoots to go down or anything. So you had to do what you could do. All right, here's another shot of that freaking Badlands badass supercell, which is unfortunate that I wasn't there for, but my God, I really quite like this composition with the kind of the valley there. And it's a lot of foreground that I usually am like, oh, I wish I had more or less of it, but this is perfect foreground. Sometimes I don't know if I like the horizon and the foreground split right in the middle of the frame, but I think it works really well here. And I just realized that was a road there. I didn't even know that was a road off to the left. But I really quite like this.
Yeah, it's absolutely one of my favorite shots. I love it very, very much. And if you were in Badlands National Park sometime, you know how hard it is to get it. You cannot chase storms there. You need to go there and hope for the best.
Right.
Because it's taking too much time to get out of it and to the interstate or so. So in this case, kudos for waiting out and for the storm, and yeah, the luck paid off. So yeah, on the technical wise, maybe it's my taste. The cloud is a bit too bluish in my eyes. Even when there is so much light coming through. So maybe it's a bit too contrasty, a bit too blue, and a bit warmer tones make it, in my opinion, a bit more better. But overall, composition-wise and the details in the meso are absolutely crazy and great.
Yeah, I think the image is there might also been a shadows plus 1,000 situation there in the foreground. But when you do it too much, it kind of lends a flatness to the image. And I suspect that there was also a gradient used separately on the sky. So you have this contrast. Of course, you look at a color wheel, blue and orange are opposite of each other. So you have contrasting colors. This makes a powerful statement. But I think here it doesn't really work. I would like to see more unity between the colors in the sky and the colors in the rocks in the foreground.
I agree with that. All right, Linda, I know you really like this one.
Yeah, I think was there several versions of this image?
I think there were.
More than one.
Yeah.
I like this barn out there. I don't know if it's like truly in the middle of nowhere somewhere. You have to run out into a field, but I imagine that you're running out into a field. You're seeing this shot. We've got this nice spin up back there. You get a lightning shot in there. It's pretty nicely balanced. It kind of, in terms of composition, it creates kind of an X. So if you follow the lightning down to the left to the barn, and then you have the edge of the storm from the top left that kind of goes down to the right. So you get this kind of X composition. That's a strong type of composition in the art world. I would maybe crop it a little bit from the bottom right. Some of that foreground I don't think is really helping the story. And I think the composition, the X would be more centered if you brought it up a bit from the lower right. The colors are not like overdone.
Right.
But I think a lot of digital sensors suffer from difficulty with highlight roll off. And so it's always kind of a case by case basis on how you can kind of work on that, like in where the storm head is brightest from the yellow color. And I would think that the blue that's on the left for the time of day might be a bit more blue than what it might be if you were standing there. But overall, really like it.
Yeah, I think it's probably conservatively edited, so maybe some of that blues and even the pinks and all that are kind of they could have done a lot more with saturation or vibrance. I can see that. So I think it was almost tastefully edited, not overly done.
Again, that speaks to doing local adjustments.
Yes, agreed. I think the only thing I see that is maybe these are the little things where there's just like it's a little bright around the house where it's dark here on the storm and dark over here. So obviously there were some shadows and highlights, and it's just one of those things that if you are doing local adjustments, you need to go back and kind of brush that back in to make sure it's even, because you can kind of see where there's that little halo around there. But I just love the overall composition of this, and the house on the left and these leading lines from the field. It's really nice. I agree, maybe crop it up a little bit, but otherwise just really well done. So here's our last image for photo of the year. I think we're a little mixed on this one. I think I mostly just appreciate being kind of far away with this whole thunderstorm and seeing the top, seeing the stars, and then zooming in and seeing a lightning bolt and a little oil well, and then of course a water spout on the left, which everybody of course gets in their photos with out in the ocean with big thunderheads and everything in it. So it's a nice balance. I think it is a little bit, the editing is a little harsh, and some of the editing around, maybe this lightning bolt and the cloud comes out, it's a little pixelated and stuff, but it's a spectacular capture in terms of a weather phenomena.
Yeah, I mean, again, I would say if you've got stars up there, don't darken that, lean into that, make that part of it, because that's a more unique aspect. I can see that the stars are slightly streaked just because the exposure is a bit too long for the focal length that was used. But in terms of it overall, you get a broad view of what's happening within and under a storm. So that's quite cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was the last one. I think we actually did 31. So congrats to the top 31 people.
Nice work, guys.
Yeah, we had a little bit of trouble narrowing it down. So kudos to everybody.
I also mean lady guys when I say
lady guys. Oh,
I mean mostly lady guys.
Lady guys.